Let me tell you what is in the bill, and I'll let you all decide whether or not this is weak. Let me get down here a compendium of the things that are in the bill. One, the death penalty. It provides 53 death penalty offenses. Weak as can be, you know? We do everything but hang people for jaywalking.
That Joe Biden, who's bragging, that's not him denigrating a bill put out by a Republican. That is Joe Biden with a bill that he is pushing, that he has put, for the most part, his name on it, authored, bragging that the bill does everything but hang people for jaywalking. That same Joe Biden that has authored a racist crime bill, and yes, I'm calling it a racist crime bill because there's a disparity in that bill for locking up African Americans versus whites with a crack cocaine disparity. They knew that disparity was in the bill. They knew that disparity was going to create that disparity of African Americans versus whites in prison and the disparity of blacks in the prison population, and they pushed it through anyway. That Joe Biden is now out with a crime bill, as if none of this has taken place. Fortunately, he's on stage with the drama queen, Cory Booker. And Cory Booker did not let him get away with that. And it ended up with a heated exchange between Cory Booker and Joe Biden on this one specific issue. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. I hope you guys are doing all right. Guys, if you enjoy this content and you find yourself coming back to this channel often, please consider supporting this content through PayPal, Patreon, liking the video, sharing the video, etc., etc. YouTube is an untrustworthy actor. I say this every video. I feel like I have to say it every video because it is, at this point, true. This content is brought to you by you, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do so. Let's go to the debates. Now, I didn't get the opportunity to watch the debates tonight. I wasn't being tardy. I wasn't off the job. I wasn't off of the moon, not paying attention. Actually, I was at a radio station. This person who's talking to you right now has a radio show that will be on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. every Tuesday at 5 p.m. The Progressive Soapbox Radio Hour. I thought I'd, change it up dramatically. So that's taking place. I start on Tuesday. So Tuesday, 5 p.m., there's a little small radio station in Chesterfield that this voice will be pumping out the airwaves on. I'm going to be streaming that show also. So you all will get that. That was kind of one of the things that I stipulated. Joe Biden is on the stage now advocating for a crime bill that is supposedly going to pretend as if everything that he has literally did for the entirety of his life. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. You spent your entire life. Do you realize Joe Biden was to the right of Ronald Reagan on crime bills? Every crime bill that came out that could have put a black body in prison, Joe Biden's name was attached to it, and he was out there advocating for it. And now, nothing to see here. Bam! Running for president in 2019, pretend as if it didn't exist and just keep on stepping. Well, fortunately, Cory Booker is on the debate stage. And Cory Booker, who needs to get onto the debate stage for the third night, does not let Joe Biden get away with it. He calls him on it. And I don't know if there were other heated exchanges during the night, but this had to be one of the testiest. Drama queen and the guy who looks tired. He looks tired. Low energy Joe Biden. Let's hear it out.
An inadequate solution to what is a raging crisis in our country, unquote. Why is Senator Booker wrong?
Well, I think he is wrong. I think we should work together. He has a similar plan. I think that we should change the way we look at prisons. Right now, we're in a situation where when someone is convicted of a drug crime, they end up going to jail and to prison. They should be going to rehabilitation. They shouldn't be going to prison. When in prison, they should be learning to read and write and not just sit in there and learn how to be better criminals. That when they get out of prison, they should be in a situation where they have access to everything they would have had before, including Pell Grants for education, including making sure that they're able to have housing, public housing, including...
Knock me over with a fucking feather. Do you... The younger generation, and I'm including myself in this, even though I'm an old man, I'm a dinosaur. The younger generation may not know this, but Joe Biden has been in politics for like 40 years. And for the entirety of the time, Joe Biden has been in politics. So, you know what? No. You know what? I'm just going to show you, right? I mean, because it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to see it. Like, it is hard to understand how dramatic of a departure what Joe Biden is saying there as opposed to what he's saying now. Extraordinary departure. Like Jekyll and Hyde. Like the people you would not think are even in the same body. Meaning, who do you believe? And should you believe a person who, for the last 40 years of their life, has advocated the exact opposite policies across the board? This right here. Well, I think we should get rehab and all this other stuff. Joe Biden didn't care about rehab. Joe Biden's job was to put people in prison for as long as he could possibly put them in prison. He just heard him say this bill does everything but hang a person for jaywalking. That Joe Biden is now touchy-feely Joe Biden. Who do you believe? The guy who for the last 39 years has advocated throwing people away. We can't help them. They can't do anything about it. I don't care how they got to that particular position in life. I can show you the exact same time Bernie Sanders given the exact on-the-floor speech, giving the diametrically opposite speech that Joe Biden was given back then. Meaning the position that Joe Biden is advocating right now is the position that Bernie Sanders had back then. Like, come on. Like, this is aggravating for me to watch because it's a person who essentially is just trying to get into office and is willing to say whatever he has to say to get into office as if the last 40 years of his life didn't exist. With an older community that just says that's Joe Biden. And that's enough. That's aggravating to me. This dinosaur should not be anywhere near close to get into office. Extraordinary. And just so you see what I mean, this is Joe Biden.
We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes.
That's Joe Biden. I don't care how people got to the position in life they got to. I don't care. Throw them away. We just need to throw them away. And let's make sure we keep that disparity between crack and cocaine, so many of the people who we throw away just so happen to be black. That's Joe Biden. This person who's trying to run for office is somebody else. That's somebody else. That's a made-up person who they're trying to sell to you. Don't buy this nonsense. Don't buy this nonsense.
Including they have all the opportunities that were available to them because we want them to become better citizens. That's the essence of what my plan in detail lays out. I'm happy to discuss it more in detail if the senator want to. And so I looked at it anyway. That's what I think my plan. I know what my plan does, and I think it's not dissimilar to what the senator said. We should be working together on getting things done.
Senator Booker, your response?
Well, my response is that this is a crisis in our country because we have treated issues of race and poverty, mental health and addiction with locking people up and not lifting them up.
Cory Booker is a drama queen. What he just said there, however, true. That speech that Joe Biden gave, the position that Joe Biden has had for the last 30, 40 years that he has been in Congress, literally 99.93% of the time that Joe Biden has been in politics, he has been advocating for throwing people away. And you heard him. He didn't care how those people developed, what happened to those people, the lives that those people had to bring them to the position that they had in life. Those people weren't born horrible. There are things in your society that produce that. And you didn't want to engage what in your society was creating the situations that were producing outcomes like that. That's the honest way to engage that. Throwing people away is an endpoint issue. An issue at that point where you can't do anything about, at least not in the sense of a blunt force way. Engaging why it was taking place is the thing that needed to take place. But instead, that was the thing that wasn't politically palatable for you. In which case, throwing away was easier. Joe Biden was to the right of Ronald Reagan. Joe Biden made that crime bill worse. And Joe Biden was unrepentant about how horrible that crime bill was. Astonishing. What Cory Booker's saying is right. Issues that should have been somewhat of across-the-board issues that were societal plagues of sorts brought out just based on issues and problems with your particular society. And your result was not to engage why your society was producing those outcomes, but only to hit the individuals, as if those individuals were somehow separate and distinct from the society to which those individuals came from. Cory Booker's point is right. You just threw people away. And you didn't care about how those people became those people. Cory Booker is right.
And Mr. Vice President has said that since the 1970s, every crime bill, major and minor, has had his name on it. And sir, those are your words, not mine. And this is one of those instances where the house was set on fire and you claim responsibility for those laws. And you can't just now come out with a plan to put out that fire. We have got to have far more bold action on criminal justice reform, like having true marijuana justice, which means that we legalize it on a federal level and reinvest the profits in communities that have been disproportionately targeted by marijuana enforcement.
Vice President Biden, I want to...
First, Cory Booker needs to take a page from Kamala Harris. And he needs to, on stage, says, look, I am one of two African Americans on the stage. He needs to flip out slightly. Enough of a flip out, not too much. You don't want to go full retarded, but enough where Jake Tapper says, oh, wow, I don't want to be racist. I'm just going to back away from this. I am one of two black people on this stage, and God damn it, I have something to say. Go from there. If they tell you to stop talking at that point, somebody's going to say, oh, wow, Jake Tapper's racist because he didn't let the black man talk. This is a Democratic primary. These guys are identitarians. I guess my point is Cory Booker hold the space Hold the space. You had something good to say. This was actually one of those times where you should have held the space, be a drama queen.
I'll give you a chance to respond.
The fact is that the bills that the future president here, that the senator is talking about are bills that were passed years ago, and they were passed overwhelmingly. Since 2007, I, for example, tried to get the crack powder cocaine disparity totally eliminated. In 2007, you became mayor. You had a police department you went out and you hired Rudy Giuliani's guy. You engaged in stop and frisk. You had 75% of those stops reviewed as illegal. You found yourself in the situation where 3 times as many African-American kids were caught in that chain and caught up. The Justice Department came after you for saying you were engaging in behavior that was inappropriate. And then, in fact, nothing happened the entire time you were mayor.
Thank you, Senator Booker. You want to respond?
I don't know if this is true or not, but look, Joe Biden is an experienced politician. He's been able to be in politics for 50 years for a reason. And I would imagine his debate team had him prep for this, just like with Kamala Harris. Now, with Kamala Harris, there was a little bit more sting to it, meaning that there seemed to be a little bit more anger to that because he seemed to kind of take that personal. It was like you're calling me racist. In this one, we're just saying you're bad on policy, and those policies ended up having a racial disparity that, yeah, I think those bills were racist because the outcome were dramatically African Americans being put in prison. He knew about that in advance. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make here. It wasn't something that they didn't know in advance. He's talking about the crack cocaine disparity now, but when they put that bill through, they knew in advance. He didn't care. He didn't care. All of those people ended up in prison with a disparity for something that was the exact same drug. And Joe Biden was pushing for it. And now Joe Biden is pretending as if he has a moral authority to put out a crime bill to wash away the sins for the last 40 years. I don't know if Cory Booker, if what Joe Biden is saying is true. I suspect some element of it is true because I don't think Joe Biden would just make it up out of whole cloth in this way. But let's let Cory Booker respond to that. Personally, I'm a cynical SOB when it comes to politics. I think all of them lie. I think it makes not one iota of a difference for one of them stand there and be dramatically hypocritical when they attack one of the other people. Kamala Harris attacked Joe Biden for the exact same position that Kamala Harris carried. And nobody knew Kamala Harris's position on it, and her attack was just so good because it was so out of left field. I was one of those children that was on the bus. It was that type of attack. It was personal. And so it was unexpected. Joe Biden was out there arguing states' rights. He was just caught off guard. This one, it seems to be less so. He seems to be a little bit more ready to respond to this. So let's see Cory Booker come back with retorts. And Cory Booker actually does a pretty decent job in dealing with this. Let's hear him. But by the way, Cory Booker's main point, though, whether this is true, was right.
Well, first of all, I'm grateful that he endorsed my presidency already, but I'll tell you this, it's no secret that I inherited a police department with massive problems and decades-long challenges. But the head of the ACLU has already said, the head of the New Jersey ACLU, that I put forth national standard-setting accountability. Mr. Vice President, I didn't interrupt you. Please show me that respect, sir. We have a system right now that's broken. And if you want to compare records, and frankly, I'm shocked that you do, I am happy to do that. Because all of the problems that he is talking about that he created, I actually led the bill that got passed into law that reverses the damage that your bills that you were, frankly, to correct you, Mr. Vice President, you were bragging, calling it the Biden crime bill up till 2015.
Thank you, Senator. Vice President Biden.
Number one, the bill he talks about is a bill that in our administration we passed. We passed that bill that you added on to. That's the bill, in fact, you passed. And the fact of the matter is, secondly, there was nothing done for the entire 8 years he was mayor. There was nothing done to deal with the police department that was corrupt. Why did you announce in the first day a zero-tolerance policy of stop and frisk and hire Rudy Giuliani's guy in 2007 when I was trying to get rid of the crack cocaine disparity?
Mr. Vice President, there's a saying in my community, you're dipping into the Kool-Aid and you don't even know the flavor. You need to come to the city of Newark and see the reforms that we put in place. The New Jersey head of the ACLU has said that I embraced reforms, not just in action, but in deed. Sir, you are trying to shift the view from what you created. There are people right now in prison for life for drug offenses because you stood up and used that tough on crime, phony rhetoric that got a lot of people elected, but destroyed communities like mine. This isn't about the past, sir. This is about the present right now. I believe in redemption.
Senator.
I'm happy you evolved.
I want to bring in
but
Secretary.
you've offered no redemption to the people in prison right now.
I want to bring in.
Yes, effective. That's effective. That's damn effective. I mean, look, Joe Biden has been in politics for 40 years, and he has been on the wrong side of the issues for the time he's been in politics. Right now, why he's in the number one position. Just if you look at the polling, just look at a broad spectrum of polls and look at what people are saying about him in those polls. One reason, electability. This, the effusive thing, electability. Abstract thing. What do you think the world is? In the context of what you think the world is, what do you think that world will vote for? What people think the world is, in many respects in these days, is a representation of their social media. The social media to which they themselves create. Meaning they're creating a certain tunnel of the world that they themselves are living in. And in living in that tunnel, they look and say, what do I think the world is? They think the world is going to be a reflection of that tunnel. That tunnel is just a reflection of them. And yet they will say, this is what I think the world is. I'm no different. I say the same thing when I look at, when I peruse. Slight difference that I interact with people. However, those people, yes, are on my channel, but I do interact with people outside of that. To try to get a feel for it. And for the most part, my political acumen has been somewhat on point. But I guess my point is this. This notion of electability it's abstract. People can move the dial. When Obama comes out for gay marriage, bam, almost overnight, support for gay marriage changes. The president, the political leaders, people who are pushing for things can change the dial, can change the public discourse. So, don't give me this notion that, Joe Biden is more electable. When you ask people, who has more ideas? Joe Biden falls to the bottom of the bunch. When you ask people who can be Donald Trump, Joe Biden floats to the top. He's running on electability. And the moment that argument falls apart, Joe Biden's campaign will shrivel up. His campaign will shrivel up. Cory Booker, Kamala Harris are trying to do something very specific. He has the black vote. Bernie Sanders has a disproportionate number of minorities and people who are workers voting for him. Joe Biden, however, does have a section of the black vote. And as African Americans, Kamala Harris and Cory Booker want to get it across to people that he does not deserve that aspect of the black vote. And so they've taken to showing aspects of Joe Biden's life to show, look, this guy is not who you think he is. You're associating him with Obama, and because you're associating him with Obama, you're forgetting the fact that Joe Biden has been in politics for the last 40 years. What was his record like before he was associated with Obama? Judge him by when he was active in politics, not when he was a vice president. Do you know the job of the vice president? Vice president have two jobs. One is to essentially take place in the Senate when there's certain things that take place in the Senate, meaning if there's a tie break. And if the president gets whacked, beyond that, that's it. It's a boring job. It is like no function whatsoever. It's a showpiece. My point is, you can't judge him by that because there's nothing to judge him by in that capacity, with the exception of him being a gaffe machine. Judge him by when he was active in politics. I hope you get my point. I hope you understand my point. Cory Booker, I don't like the drama queen stuff personally. And, the faux pain that he's feeling, I don't, fair enough. But I do think there's a certain degree of effectiveness of carving that out of Biden and getting it across to people. I mean, at a certain point, people will just kind of overlook it and be like, he can beat Trump, so okay. He can beat Trump, so okay. at a certain point, that needs to fall apart. And if that is his strongest suit, then that needs to be attacked. The policy stuff, to some degree, may work. And if you have enough time between now and the election or the next, the time you go to vote, you may be able to carve enough out of him to where he falls within the polling, because Joe Biden has been falling in the polls. Actually, he bumped up 3 points over the last polling thing. But my point is this. I think you need to take a playbook out of the Republican Party. People are not supporting Joe Biden because of his policies. People are not supporting Joe Biden because of, his records prior to Obama and everything else. They're supporting him because they think he's electable. And if electability is the thing that they believe is, that he is, that needs to be destroyed. All of this is nice. But there's something to be said for swift mode. And what I mean is this kind of the John Kerry thing. If John Kerry is a war hero and that's his strongest suit, attack his strongest suit. What else is he going to have if he doesn't have his strongest suit? Weaken it, cripple it, hurt it. Cripple it enough that he loses enough support to bring you up in the election results, especially if that's his strong suit. Nobody's going to listen to me, but what I'm saying here is absolutely and entirely correct. The way to attack Joe Biden is not specifically on policy, even though policy is important. One of the ways to hit Joe Biden is on electability. Nobody's going to listen to me, but what I'm saying is correct. Let's see, somebody sent a super chat, and I'll leave it here. Wow, we have people here. Balthazar. Not to mention, Bernie also supports felony re-enfranchisement, which says a lot about his desire to de-incentivize criminalizing black people in order to stop their voting trends. Tulsi and Biden don't. I don't think Bernie Sanders is perfect, so don't misunderstand me. Joe's going to say he wasn't expecting this either. Oh yeah, that would be funny, right? I didn't expect him to hit me on this. Well, I don't think that's true, though. I think he did expect him to hit him on it, because he was prepared immediately with the Cory Booker stuff. Joe Biden is extremely low energy, and I gotta say, it seems like he doesn't want to be in this race. It seems like he wants to be president. He doesn't want to run for president. He's low energy. It seems like he's just out of it. Like, I just want to be president, and you guys have forced me to run in this fucking race. He seems old. And I know him and Sanders are around the same age, but there's a difference. I mean, Sanders wants it. He's vigorous. And Biden just seems like he's... Oh, you're hitting me? Oh, you're hit. Oh, okay. Okay. I stopped talking now. Like, it's weird. I mean, clearly he was prepared to hit Cory Booker back the moment that Cory Booker hit him. Well, you were mayor for all this time and you didn't do anything. He knew details and everything. So he was prepared. He was prepared. I think the Kamala Harris thing, I don't know why that would have hit him by surprise, but he ran into a states' rights argument. That can't be where he wanted to be. John Dunn, corporate Democrat records were on full display tonight, and I love it. Yeah, right. I have to look at this. I have to watch this debate because these guys are probably going to be attacking Biden because they need to get his results. Also, I want to see how Tulsi did in this debate. Krillin 876, crime bill and DOMA were both Democrat majority bills. Yes, Clinton was in office with that crime bill. Clinton was in office with that crime bill. Biden pushed that crime bill. They knew that crime bill had a disparity between crack and cocaine. Biden didn't care. They pushed that bill anyway. The results of that was a disparity of African Americans in prison. And the disparity was tied directly to that crack cocaine disparity. But now Biden is like, nothing to see here, folks. I'm a new man. I'm a new man. It's amazing how you can be a new man after 40 years in politics. The moment that you want to run for office and all of it just goes away. Nothing to see here. That stuff happened a long time ago. Like 3 years. Like 3 years. I mean, because 3 years ago, Joe Biden was still defending that crime bill. Still defending that crime bill. Put tons of people in prison over that stuff. Throwing people away. No need to pay attention to the society that produces the people. Just look entirely at the individuals themselves. Amazing. Trudy, That seems to be about normal, judging from the pictures I've seen. What pictures have you seen, Trudy? Bernie supporters saying Tulsi just can't win. Don't see the irony. Manga Vermin. Well, I'm not saying that. I've made the argument that I want her on that debate stage. I want her to be on that debate stage for as long as she can. And look, if nothing else that proved my point, Elizabeth Warren and Sanders on the same debate stage. If nothing else proves my point. Do you realize if Sanders was on that stage by himself, it would have been a completely different context, contours to that debate. What made last night work was that both of them were there. And Marianne Williamson adding her spiritual guru stuff every so often. Tulsi being on that stage is for the better. I'm sorry. I think it's for the better. She should be on the stage. I want her on the stage. Tulsi was smart to wear white clothing compared to the rest of the people on stage. A woman in white, your birdie, Hillary, did the same thing in the final debate against Trump in 2016. Yeah, Trump was a horrible debater. She crushed him in those debates. First, last, exactly. Biden playing a false opposition, only there to siphon money for now for the future candidate. You call him a money sponge. He's just in a race to suck up money. I don't think he's there to suck up money, man. I think Joe Biden wants to be president. He's been running for 40 fucking years. I don't think he wants to run for president. I don't think that's in him. I don't think that energy is in him. I think Joe Biden is past his prime on this. If he fails, yes, the money will go to the next candidate. Kamala Harris, Biden have been, and Buttigieg have been sucking up money like nobody's business. Warren has held off until after she gets out the primary, in which case she will take all the money that you can give her. So, all right, I'm going to end this. Guys, if you enjoy the content, like, share, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon if you really enjoy the content. And yeah, this person now has a radio show Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be in Chesterfield, but I'm going to stream it live. Easy to crush debates when you have questions. I know, right? Easy to crush debates when you have questions. Oh, that's funny. You're talking about Hillary. That's funny. First, last, Jamal, when do we see the swimsuit edition? Oh God, the swimsuit edition. I don't think I have the swimsuit edition. I don't think we're going to be seeing that. Tulsi didn't gain much, and Kamala refused to directly acknowledge her. Oh, really? Oh, that's right. Because Tulsi said that Kamala Harris was ill-prepared to be commander-in-chief. That's right, Garden. That's right. Well, you know why? You never punch down. It doesn't typically get you anywhere. Like, in a situation, like... So, in the CNN debate, for the first debate, the questions were asked in skeptical ways. So even though Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are in 2 and 3 spots, and everybody else on the stage are has-beens and nobodies, it didn't come across that way. It came across as if they were in a foxhole fighting off, a bunch of rabid corporate Democrats. In this case, there's no win in hitting her on this. I mean, you don't really want to have a conversation about beating your wife. It's like, how often do you beat your wife? It's like, I never beat my wife. Well, you're still having a conversation about beating your wife. If Kamala Harris is having a conversation about being ill-prepared for being commander-in-chief, she is having a conversation about her being ill-prepared for being commander-in-chief. In fact, so the matter is, you have no idea what Tulsi Gabbard is going to say in that regard to back that up. Now, you could try to put her down on that and say, what do you mean I'm not prepared? What are you using for that? And you go after her for it. And depending on how either Tulsi is going to win or lose that, and she's going to win or gain based on who can win that exchange. But if Kamala Harris is like, I don't want to engage, then she doesn't want to engage. I don't want to deal with it. I'm 4th place. I don't want to fuck around and lose my position. That's my thought. She punches the hell out of Kamala, brought up all the dirty deeds. Really? Oh, I gotta find that. Gotta find that. Because I saw Gravel put out a thing saying Tulsi Gabbard did a really good job exposing Kamala Harris. Yeah, I gotta find that. That has to be awesome. All right, I'm going to end this so I can find that video, and I might try to do that video tonight if I can get my hands on that video. Shout out to CNN. Why am I giving a shout out to CNN? CNN copyright blocked my video. And then I get a notice saying copyright block lifted. I didn't even try to dispute it. It just lifted it. So good. Thank you for not fucking me over on showing the video. So yeah, there's that. So I'm going to look for that other video and we're going to do the news. Maybe. It's late. It's like 12 in the morning. It's like 11:30 and I'm being too strong about that. We'll see. Maybe. Maybe. You might see this face in a few minutes. Thanks all. Like, share, subscribe. Bye-bye.